Genesis 16. If your sister wife can't have your children, God wants you to know it's totally fine to impregnate one of her slaves. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, had borne him no children, but she had an Egyptian slave named Hagar. So she said to Abram, "The Lord has kept me from having children. Go, sleep with my slave. Perhaps I can build a family through her." Abram agreed to what Sarai said. Whenever people say you should read the Bible, they never mention the part about how a wife urges her husband to bang her exotic slave. Notice how we don't get much of a reaction either. "Oh husband, do you want to sleep with another woman?" Yes. Keep in mind, no one asked Hagar for her opinion on this. There's no consent here. We don't know if she wants to sleep with Abram. We don't know if she wants to be pregnant. But those decisions have apparently been made for her. The Bible fails every Me Too test. So after Abram had been living in Canaan 10 years, Sarai, his wife, took her Egyptian slave Hagar and gave her to her husband to be his wife. He slept with Hagar and she conceived. When she knew she was pregnant, she began to despise her mistress. Then Sarai said to Abram, "You are responsible for the wrong I am suffering. I put my slave in your arms, and now that she knows she's pregnant, she despises me. May the Lord judge between you and me." Notice the language here. Abram slept with Hagar. But really, he raped her, because we still haven't heard if she was okay with this arrangement. Don't ever let a Christian talk to you about the sanctity of marriage. Marriage in this case is a man, a barren sister wife, and an unconsenting slave who now hates the barren sister wife. I don't remember that pamphlet from Focus on the Family. And you know what? I'm on Team Hagar here. If someone forced you to have sex with an old man against your will, and then you got knocked up, and you were gonna have a child that someone else would raise as if you don't even exist, you have a right to be angry at the people who came up with this idea. "Your slave is in your hands," Abram said. "Do with her whatever you think best." Then Sarai mistreated Hagar, so she fled from her. Sarai beat up a pregnant slave, even though this was all her idea. The angel of the Lord found Hagar near a spring in the desert. It was the spring that is beside the road to Shur. And he said, "Hagar, slave of Sarai, where have you come from and where are you going?" "I'm running away from my mistress Sarai," she answered. Then the angel of the Lord told her, "Go back to your mistress and submit to her." The angel added, "I will increase your descendants so much that they will be too numerous to count." Leave it to the Bible to include the line, "Go back to your mistress and submit to her," and make it the least erotic thing ever. Somehow the section with the heifer and a goat was hotter than this. It sounds like this angel is supposed to rescue her, but telling a slave to go back to her abusive owner so that she can get pregnant again, and again, and again, all presumably against her will, doesn't sound that great. Then again, taking revenge on your enemy by having a bunch of children that she'll be forced to raise? That's kind of brilliant. And very evil. The angel of the Lord also said to her, "You are now pregnant, and you will give birth to a son. You shall name him Ishmael, for the Lord has heard of your misery. He will be a wild donkey of a man. His hand will be against everyone, and everyone's hand against him, and he will live in hostility toward all his brothers." A wild donkey. How's that for encouragement? God knows you're miserable, but go back to your abusive owner and have this child who will grow up to be rebellious and hated, and then have thousands of other kids. Abort now, Hagar. It's early. You can do it. And also, I will tell you this from experience, if someone you know is having a baby, do not suggest a name. Horrible idea. None of your business. Not only is Hagar having this baby she didn't want, with a man she didn't pick, in place of a woman she doesn't like, she doesn't even get to name the child. The Bible is so mean to her. She gave this name to the Lord who spoke to her. "You are the God who sees me," for she said, "I have now seen the one who sees me." That is why the well was called Bir Lahairoi. It is still there, between Kadesh and Bered. I'm glad the Bible found time to drop in a tourist recommendation at the end there. Also, it's weird to thank God for your own torture and humiliation. So Hagar bore Abram a son, and Abram gave the name Ishmael to the son she had born. Abram was 86 years old when Hagar bore him Ishmael. Nothing like being a first-time father at the young age of 86. That guy, I promise you, will never offer to change a diaper. But on the upside, at least the baby isn't coming out of his... It seems pretty clear that God and his angels are totally fine with slavery. At least they don't condemn it. And even when they have the chance to help an escaped slave, the advice is to go back. There's a woman who needs to hurt you and a man who needs to keep impregnating you. Tell me again how this is a good book?